When it comes to pioneers of women's football at the Bridgenorth Football Club, two of the first names that come to mind are Grace Walker and Alice Robinson. In 2024, they led as co-captains the club to their first ever senior women's premiership, defeating arch-rival Old Launcestonians by 22 points. In this episode, Grace and Alice share their passion for the team, their stories, and what it meant to be part of history last September. Well, Grace and Alice, part of the Parrots inaugural Women's Premier Division Senior Women's Premiers. Lovely to have you both here with us. Smiles on your face after a big few weeks, but we might start with that and reflect, Grace. Obviously it's been a few weeks now. What's the overriding emotion after, obviously, last year, probably fair to say, heavy favourites to win and came just short, but this year, it's always hard to come back, but this year you must be incredibly proud of what you've achieved this year as a club.
Oh gosh, so proud and super grateful to have been a part of it all. Last year was huge, and reflecting last year, we sort of think we did everything right and had a really great program last year, and to go defeated in the grand final was pretty heavy-hearted for all of us, but it just made us more eager to come back this year and elevate our program even more, and then to win the flag this year and reflect on the last few weeks and what that's felt like, super special and something that we'll remember forever.
And Alice, we spoke to you a bit earlier in the year. Obviously it's been a big year for you personally when you were named captain of the Tasmanian team, but playing for your club is obviously vitally important and right up there as well. How big a moment was that on Saturday a few weeks ago when you beat OLs in the grand final?
Huge, when you were introducing us before as premiers, I couldn't help myself but smile like that. My overall feeling is I just feel so joyful and just so much joy from that day and thinking about it. I can't stop smiling about it even like a few weeks afterwards, and I hope, and I'm sure I will feel that way forever.
For a long time. The evolution of women's football it's been massive, obviously, in the pathway that there is now in our own state, which we'll see in a few years as well. But for you, Grace, where did it all start? Where did your interest of football begin, and when did you decide that you wanted to play?
I grew up on a small island in the middle of the Bass Strait, Flinders Island, and I got into netball. It was sort of like a netball football community. I played a bit of netball, and then when I entered, I was like late primary school maybe, I had a go at footy. So it was, anyone could play. We just had two teams, red and black, and it was quite normal for the girls to get around it. So that's, I guess, where I got my first taste of what footy was like. It was rough, it was fun, and then moved away to Launceston for further education after grade 10, and played a bit of netball. I always thought if Bridgenorth Footy Club were to ever get a women's side, I'd beeline it for there, and so here we are.
Here we are today, 5 years later.
5 years later.
Yeah. And Alice, for you, you've excelled in a number of sports. What is it about football that you love, that got you involved?
I played football when I was 16. I actually had 1 year at Launceston Football Club when it was still state league, and I actually didn't enjoy it at all. I wasn't a fan of it. I liked the idea of it and everything, and there's nothing to do with Launceston or anything. I just didn't enjoy football, and so I went and played rugby sevens, which was more aligned with touch, which is my sport. So I did that, and then the pathway for higher program in rugby got taken away in Tassie, and moved into more grassroots for that, and so one of my good friends was playing here, and she said, "Why don't you come play footy?" And I was like, "Okay, I will." And that's it, and I love it. Like, it's so good. And I think like playing touch at a high level, and I've played that my whole entire life, to come back to a sport and be able to keep learning something. Not that I know everything there is to know in touch, but to come into a sport and really go back into that learning. It's almost like inner child sort of healing, but yeah, I love it, yeah.
You touched on that you didn't like the game. Why do you love it now? Why do you think that's changed?
I think my maturity level's changed a little bit from that. But I do think that Bridgenorth has a lot to do with that as well. And yeah, I think I don't quite know how to describe it, but Bridgenorth and Bobby and the girls here has changed the way that I probably looked at the game. And I think that it will and has changed the way that I will look at it forever as well.
One thing that I've picked up a lot this week, Grace, is that obviously there is no township here, but the culture and the player numbers, men's, under 18s, women's program, are so solid. Can you pinpoint, doesn't have to be one reason, but why do you think the club is so successful, not only on the field, but off it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like, aside from having great programs across all four sides, great coaches that have so much experience and energy and organisation, it's absolutely about the people here, and it's about how you're made to feel when you step into this community. And I think I often reflect, like, and I spoke about this at the presentation evening. I love footy, and footy's great. I personally, I'm not going anywhere high level with my football, but something that's huge about coming to Bridgenorth for me is the opportunities and the roles that I get to play off the field. And this is, I know I can speak for everyone. You can be in the canteen having a good time, talking to Jenny and serving customers, hot chippies. You can be on the committee helping out, setting up stuff, organising functions. So it's all about how you are made to feel when you step onto Parrot Park. It's actually little to do with football. It's all to do with the community that's built here, and giving people a role, a purpose, something to be passionate about, and somewhere to come where they feel they belong. And I think that's such an innate need and desire from most of us humans, that when you access those feelings, you want to keep going back to the place that gives you those feelings.
Alice, does the women's program and the players here, do you get a sense of the history of the club as well? Because we were just speaking to a couple of delightful gentlemen, and one of them was talking about how he was actually working here as a youngster with the tractors and actually getting rid of trees and making the ground on which you play today. Is that something that's not lost on people here, that tends to be that every generation seems to know a little bit about the history, and that's really important to know where it sort of all started? Yeah,
absolutely. And I think with the women's team only being around for a short period of time in comparison to how big the club has, I don't think that we look at ourselves pigeonholed into those only 6-7 years. I think we still take on board everything else that's come before us to get us to the position that we were able to play. And I think we're really grateful that we are able to play. I'm sure there's many females that have come before us that have been a part of the club, particularly our team manager, Di Ketchell, that would have loved the opportunity to play, but it wasn't accessible for her at the time. And I think we feel really grateful that the club's gotten to a point that we are able to have a team here, and that history doesn't go unnoticed.
I'll ask this question, each of you can answer it separately, but how proud to be co-captains of this club, and not just being in a premiership year, but amongst the women that you've got as part of the program. How special is that?
It's pretty great. Feel super grateful. Alice and I get along like a house on fire. We're both teachers, so we share similar I don't know, interests and perspectives and ways of looking at things. But yeah, it's super special, and like we are great leaders because of the group and because of our role models and our mentors here and outside of the footy club as well. And I think there are so many great leaders in our group, and that's what makes us a really solid group, is that things like initiative and utilising your voice and speaking up and being a part of creating that community and that culture and that safe place really is how you get the best out of your players. And we feel super lucky to have been some of the people that have sort of got to drive that, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. And touching on the history side as well, like what an honour to be able to say that you're captain of Bridgenorth. I think when you say that for like 100 years, like I think it's a really cool thing to say, and it's a really cool thing to share with Grace as well.
And as senior players, I don't say that flippantly that you're old, because you're not, but as senior players that have been part of the football program for a few years, do you see yourselves in a sense as well wanting to teach and help that younger generation that are coming through and taking up football? Is that important?
Yeah. I think for me personally, and where I know my strengths lie, it's in the mindset and the perspective and knowing your worth and your value, and so you can give yourself the best opportunity to be the best footballer that you can, whether that looks like high level or not. So for me personally, I love mentoring people to be better versions of themselves, so then their football is elevated as a byproduct of that.
And when you get, reflect, if we talk about grand final day now, has it not only winning the premiership, but how special is it to have been the first Bridgenorth women's football team to win a premiership? Have you given that much thought?
No. When you say it like that, yeah. I don't really know how to feel about that.
Probably something that sinks in a bit further down the track, I guess, as the club gets older. And I mean, I know we're not going to get into politics because this is being recorded. Obviously, things are changing, but you're playing this year in 2024 in the top level competition with some really good teams in there. How have you found the progression of women's football in northern Tasmania? Having been in the system for a few years, have you seen changes every year in terms of the quality?
Yeah, well, you could probably speak more because you've been in for a longer period of time, but in the 3 years that I've been here, I feel like each year's jumped up a lot more. And I think from my first season in 2022, the jump to 2023, particularly in our program, was huge. And I think it's a driving force, and it's going to keep getting better and better, and it's quite exciting. And I was only having a conversation today with someone else that how exciting it is for young girls at the moment, that it's right there, it's right in front of them, and you can't be what you can't see, but it's there now, and I think that's really, really exciting.
Now, Grace, I'm going to get you to answer this question first, because we're going to take it off the field here. So you've won. Who led the celebrations? Who tell us about, name and shame some of the great characters of your team, and if it's you can shame yourself. But who led the partying and the celebrations? Who really performed?
Let's just say out of the two of us co-captains, this is the party animal.
You're not denying it either, are you?
Alice had a parrot hat on her head, like I'm going to say within seconds after the final siren sounded. So this is her favourite face. But no, I think Al was the leader in the celebrations, which is great. Her excitement is just like, what's the word? Contagious.
Rallied together, if you would get people in there.
And talk us through post walking off the ground, and talk us through the next 24 hours. How did the club? Did you all stick together and just really enjoy the moment for a few days?
Yeah. I think even to start right at the start, going back into the change rooms afterwards, you've got your family members there, your mates there, I remember sitting down after we'd sung the song and Bobby's, about to deliver his speech, and you're seeing all of the supporters of the club, the men's sides, all the family, friends, and the extended community, Parrot Army. And to have all of them standing before you in that moment, so you look around and you're taking it all in, and just seeing how proud they were of us and how much it meant to us to actually get there this year. I feel like that's something that that's a key memory for me.
Yeah. And then we were straight back to Parrot Park, place to be.
With the parrot.
Yeah. The cup's got a little scratch on it. We're not sure how that's happened. I think Robert Beams can answer that one, maybe.
Well, we might ask him that one. Couple of other questions. I touched on it at the beginning. Last year, obviously, grand final day didn't go your way when many thought it would. The lead up to the grand final, in the days leading up to it, what was different from last year to this year in the build-up in terms of how the coaching staff spoke, or your focus, and how did you approach it compared to say last year?
I think there were a couple of things for me that one real big one for me is that it was a lot more relaxed. There wasn't that. I don't think there was as much pressure, not in terms of performance, but we kind of knew what to expect.
They didn't put as much pressure on yourselves?
On the day, yeah. And, we've done it every Saturday. We've played a game of football, and so I think that our mindset going into it was it's another Saturday and we're playing a game of football. We don't have to change anything. We don't have to get real serious and in our heads, because we don't do that every other week, and we perform pretty good. So I think that I know that I really focused on keeping things quite fun and keeping that enjoyment level there, and that it didn't dip away just because we were in the grand final. And I think that might have changed slightly from last year to this year. And then also that we spoke about last year's grand final in the lead up to this year's one, and we confronted that monster, and we spoke about it, and I think that was really important in voicing that.
Yeah, I think really, I think we've focused a lot this year on creating a really safe space in our inner sanctum that, if you had thoughts or feelings, or you were anxious or you were worried, or, everyone had someone that they could go and talk to, because it's like anything, when you talk about a problem or something, you automatically dissolve it. So, we worked really hard on having a safe space so everyone can actually just be themselves and feel at ease, because that's when we know we're playing our best footy, and it worked for us this year.
Like football's fun, and we said that, we tried to say that as much as possible, that football's fun, and we play good football when we're having fun. So we made sure that there was an element of fun constantly during that week.
And in every training session throughout the year, to be fair, as well. We're always, having a boogie or to certain songs, or
we start our training with a joke.
Who's the joke teller?
Well, I started it, and then I ran out of jokes pretty quick. And so everyone would kind of bring one. Bobs would throw his hat in the ring every now and then.
He's got a good sense of humour, has he?
Yeah.
It can be a hard one to crack sometimes.
But we actually made on our last training, the last couple of trainings, or every now and then, that Bobby will start with, does anyone have a joke? And half the time it's like, nah, I forgot, we don't have anything. And so on our last training, I was like, wouldn't it be funny if we all had a joke ready to go for Bobby? And so our last training, every one of us had a joke ready to go for him. It was just, we started off our final training with 15 jokes before we'd even started
Short training session.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing, maybe.
That's right. We knew what we were doing.
Forget about the women's team. I want to ask you about the club overall. What is it about the Bridgenorth Football Club that makes it special?
I think for a start, the fact that you mentioned before that there's actually no township here, that makes it pretty special. It's for some people they'd say at Parrot Park's out whoop whoop, or out in the sticks. Like I touched on it before, I think it's the people. It's the people. It's the the opportunities that are here, the many ways that you can get involved. Whether you're a player or not, we have parents that come and have little roles or support us in more ways than one. All the other sides as well. It's just one big family, I suppose.
Yeah, and it's a funny thing to try and describe what it is, but it is the people and every little thing that someone does for the club and makes it such a good club that you're proud to say that you're a Parrot. Like, I'm so proud to say that I'm a Bridgenorth Parrot. Like, such a cool thing to be able to say.
I think everyone, everyone that's involved in keeping this club running is just so passionate about this club that their energy rubs off on everyone else. And you can, on Thursday nights, you go and train for an hour, you have your meeting, and then you go in for a palmy cooked by Jen. You can literally taste the love that she's poured into that palmy. And
good palmies,
great meals, and just sit down and have dinner with your mates after training. Like, it's all of those things. It's all, for me, it's all the off-field stuff that makes people come back and be a part of this place.
Parrot's passion.
There it is. Passion. You mentioned Di, you mentioned Bobby. Tell us a little bit about their influence and how important they are to the women's program.
How do you even start? What words do you use to describe Bobby? And
passionate. I don't know how he does it, Bob's, but it's actually really hard to describe. But I repeat myself again, but I touched on how people in this club make other people feel. And so Bobby, his official title is head coach, but for a lot of us, he's a mentor, he's a friend, and so he'll help you with anything you want help with, whether it's footy related or life related. He's just that person for a lot of people, and when you have that level of support in a team, in a club, the opportunities are endless, and you just feel the love, I suppose. And the same goes with Di. She's here every week doing her role, but she's also like a mother figure for a lot of the girls. And I was reflecting on this in the grand final. I felt so grateful that my parents flew over from Flinders to come and support me. But there's people out there that actually don't have family members come and support them, or around to come and support them on those days, or even in just during the season. And so that's what these people are for a lot of us. They're those key support people, in our life.
Yeah.
Would you add anything to that?
I think that Bobby as a coach makes you want to be a better football player, but I think the most special thing to me is that he makes you want to be a better person, like just in life. And I think that's a really special thing to have. Yeah.
No, well said, both of you. Well, Grace, Alice, thanks for being a part of this, because we are documenting the almost 100 years of history of the Bridgenorth Football Club, and the women's program is only young, but it's playing a very important part, and I know it's going to play a massive part in the future, and you guys are at the top of the tree. So thank you for being a part of today. It's been great to catch up with you, and keep the Parrots' passion going.
Woo! Thank you.